Alright, the only 4 exercises you need to get seriously fucking fit. And this is in all aspects of fitness. This isn't gonna just be just strength or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So I'll just straight out say them all in order. Number 1 is cycling and or running. And this just, builds up your cardio base. That's going to help with strength training and all your other stuff later on as well. And yeah, so the first one, it's running and cycling for slow and long distances. So slow and long distance, the active recovery stuff, building the base level. What this actually does, it builds your plasma in your blood, so it's like hydration levels in the whole body, and it's going to help you burn fat as well. It's you're getting a lot of oxygen in because you're doing it all day long, and really good shit. I wouldn't recommend running all day long. I'd recommend walking, hiking all day long, and or cycling. Cycling's great to do all day long. Just dial in that saddle comfort. Alright, and then the second one is cycling and running again. This one definitely includes running if you're not 150 kilos or too overweight. I'd say if you're under 90 kilos, it's good to do a bit of running. So this is VO2 max interval sessions. This is the second one that's extremely powerful. And what this entails is typically intervals. A beginner will do intervals of about 5-minute intervals with a 5-minute break and times 5 intervals. Now, as you advance, you go slightly higher in the minutes of the interval, and so it would be like 6 minutes for 3 intervals, and you would also have like a 6-minute break. So that's the gist of it. So that's more advanced. A really advanced person would go up to 8 minutes for 2 intervals, and they're done. With an 8-minute break in between. But basically, the higher the minutes, the harder it is to keep it good quality because you just want maximum oxygen consumption for them VO2 max interval sessions. That's going to build some really serious fitness, the VO2 max. So I definitely recommend, particularly in this order as well, building the base level fitness first from the long distance stuff, getting onto the VO2 max stuff after you've done a little bit of distance stuff, and then, just going to town on the VO2 max one. You can also do a little bit of threshold work, which is time trials of either running, like either a 5 kilometer, which typically takes, depending on your fitness, 17 minutes to 30 minutes. Then you can also do that for a climb if you have a cycling hill climb. A lot of cyclists ride up hills, and you find a hill that takes about 20-25 minutes to get up, and you just try and beat your time each time you do it. So that's another great, but that's training threshold. So you got VO2 max, which is the intervals, which you're really trying to target. The threshold training will up your VO2 max as well, but it's just training a different modality. So if you want to get your health up quicker, you don't be afraid of shorter intervals, really pushing it. But the threshold training, because it's really brutal and you're pushing through all the pain of the lactate and the threshold, you're pushing through your threshold, so it's all the lactate, and that really makes you harder in the head for really pushing through and pushing even harder on your VO2 max intervals, because you felt pain for longer, so 6 minutes doesn't feel like very long when you felt pain for 30 minutes before. So that's now the third one. The third one is some strength training, muscle building. I'd say building muscle is the best way to go about it. So that requires 6 reps. Now when you build a muscle, you want 6 to 10 reps. You don't want to go higher than that. If you get to 10 reps, you want to kind of you want to add more weight to the training. So 6 reps to failure is great. if you can't add on extra weight, do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then really try and up the weight a little bit. Even if it's a small amount, just try and up the weight, but you'll get serious gains as a beginner. So I got the 4 exercises for strength training I would recommend, and so it requires minimal equipment if you want to do it at home. It's definitely, if you got a gym across the road, definitely go to the gym. Get a membership, try and get a cheap membership. If you're in Australia, Dairy Mutt Gym has a really cheap membership. It's crazy. You pay $3 a week. It's it's pretty good. I've never seen a gym so cheap, and it's generally good quality. So the 4 exercises, I'll just say them. So it's decline bench, and then it's a Yates row, which does the back, and then you got for the lower body just a body weight squat and a pelvic thrust. And you can throw in a wall sit there if you want as well. But yeah, so the decline bench press, it's just a bit safer on the shoulder joint than the classic bench press. It can be difficult if you're pushing really hard. You got to be careful if you don't have a lifting partner to help you up. But if you just don't put clips on the bar, and if the weight, and make sure you're not in somewhere you're going to damage shit. And if the weight, you just if you fail and the weight falls off and you just flail your arms around, you probably be all right, unless you're going extremely heavy. But you'll have more experience by the time you get there. So decline bench, that's going to build your chest, the tricep, the shoulders. It's going to build a lot of shit. Then you've got the Yates row, which you can look it up. Yates row. It's just a bit more of an upright, bent over row. So it's a bent over row, and you use the same bar as the bench press. So you'll be able to use the same weights for the bench press as the same weights for the Yates row. And it's basically an under grip. So you grab it with your hands under like this, and more upright position doing bent over rows. So you're just standing more upright. So it uses less of the lower back, and it still targets, the upper back. So, the Yates row, so it's an upper back exercise. So it's all your pulling muscles. It's going to do your bicep. It's going to do your upper back. You can definitely put lighter weight on there, do some barbell curls, or if you have a pair of dumbbells as well, you can, do some hammer curls and barbell curls. But if we're going the bare minimum, there's that, so there. And then with the body weight squats for the lower body, just going to town on the body weight squats, going really slow on the declines, powerful on the incline. And I'd recommend doing your squats first, and then doing wall sits, and that's going to really fatigue your quads. And then because your quads are really fatigued, when you do your pelvic thrust, it's going to target easier the hamstring and the glutes. So pelvic thrusts on the floor, you can basically, you can look it up, pelvic thrust, basic exercise. I like to really hold it as a static hold at the top if I'm doing body weight. That can help make it faster to go to failure. Now, I know this isn't super heavy, so this is just building a base level of fitness. It's just trying to faff around with other stuff. I would recommend mastering body weight squats and pelvic thrusts before, you get a gym membership for sure. Do leg press and the booty builder or whatever, you can do them. But we're just keeping a minimal amount of exercises here. I would say those are you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And then, but obviously 6 reps to 10 reps, is great. Throw in calf raises as well if you want. And then so that shit's going to build serious muscle. So the 6 reps, that's for building, legitimate muscle. That's what everyone wants. Most people don't want to be, super skinny, everyone wants to be lean, but they don't, basically you can do less reps, but you know, it's just going to increase your risk of injury, and you're not going to build muscle. You know, a lot of people don't understand when you build muscle, like girls, they're not going to look bulky. You know, they're not really going to look bulky unless they're already really fat and have a shit ton of muscle already. So it's not really an issue for most people. You know, 6 reps optimal for building muscle, and yeah, I recommend 6 to 8. Really aim 6 to 8. When you get to 8, you know, you can try a heavier weight. If you can't do 6 reps, then you know maybe you need to lower the weight. But yeah, this shit builds muscle. You know, that's going to improve your health. That's going to, you know, improve insulin sensitivity, metabolic shit. It's, you know, it's going to improve shit. Now the final one after you've done that is plyometrics. Now plyometrics, there's all sorts of different types out there. I recommend low ground contact time plyometrics. Now that basically it means like you're tapping the floor as for the least amount of time as possible. So it's extremely fast, extremely speed orientated plyometrics. You need to be really careful not to overdo it when you start doing it, and understand the risk of Achilles tendon injuries. You don't want to overdo it because there's a lot of balance stuff as well as the low contact time stuff, and this is going to improve your coordination, a whole bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of different exercises for it. I'll post some videos eventually with the plyometric stuff. I'll put some really in-depth research into it. So if you're desperate to do that stuff now, if you're already seriously fit, you've already done the other exercises, I'll look up Speed of Sport with Nick Curson on Instagram. You know, there's some good exercises there. It's some pretty basic equipment. You can pretty much get all the equipment for basic setup for maybe under $100, like an exercise bowl, like a ladder drill, PVC pipes. There's a few other, you know, basic ones, like just a ledge. I think the best one for the ledge is basically a ledge, and you're tapping your toe on top of the ledge, like doing it as fast as you can, tapping on top, switching feet, and moving around it. And yeah, it's going to help speed up your running times as well. The low, you know, training your nervous system. Basically, the plyometrics train your whole nervous system, your nerves, your ganglion cells. There's 1,000,001 things. Trains your spinal column, all sorts of shit. Just it trains your, you know, basically your movement instinct, like your automatic movement instinct. So like you fall over, it's going to kick in. You know, the plyometrics good, and then, you know, I guess the 5th one after all of the plyometrics and shit is done. You could say skill-based stuff at any time, really, to be honest. But, you know, you got your skill-based sports, so requires from boxing to gymnastics to, you know, all sorts of skill-based stuff. Whatever you want to learn, you know, whatever you find interesting that you really want to learn, you know, do it. Yeah, you know. Yeah, so that's, I think, covered basically all of them there. But if there's any other information that you want, let me know what I might have missed out. I've got so much more information on all this stuff, really in depth. Yeah, so just leave a comment. I'll try, you know, do a more in-depth one next time and answer your questions. Alrighty, too easy. Get out there.
Why were you dehydrated? Why are you dehydrated? Why are you dehydrated? Because not a sir. I'll tell you why! Because you're not filtering the goddamn water!